Alright, hi, this is Peter. I've shot this video a couple times and it just hadn't come out right. I've rambled too much, or, one time I left my radio on, so, I can't post that on YouTube. Alright, this is going on my my normal channel and probably going to be posted on my Facebook. I will say it's a controversial topic, but I'm not going to beat around the bush. I'm going to say what I have to say about it, what I think about it, and y'all can make your own decision about it. Alright, here recently we had Hurricane Florence come into the Carolinas. I'm not going to talk about whether the governor made a good decision in South Carolina, North Carolina being a different state. I'm not talking about, what was done. I'm not talking about the reactions to it as far as the people. I'm not going there. That's, a subject that we're really not going to talk about. Might brush on it a little bit, but I'm not really, that's not what this is about. What this is about is the media's coverage of the events. It is a bad situation. There is a lot of flooding up where my mom's from. There is a lot of, where my mom was from, Loris, South Carolina, I'll even say that, Horry County. There's been a lot of flooding. The interstate I-95 was closed once for flooding. It cleared up, and then later on the river rose again. They closed it again for flooding around the PD. It's bad. There are houses feet underwater, just like we had a flood here a few years ago. It's a bad situation. It's a little worse from them because this storm went way inland and all the rivers flow down through that area. So they are having a time of it. In fact, they're expecting rivers to rise again today or tomorrow due to the storm from water being dumped way upstate. I don't know if it's going to happen or not. That is a bad situation. There's nothing that I could say that will change the fact that that is bad. My problem is how the news media has been handling it. And if you look, historically, they have been doing similar things for a long time. I'm going to start with what the news media is all about. Any of your newscasters, any of your reporters, any of your news sources are all about getting the advertising dollar. There is a whole method of doing that. They have developed an entire industry for the advertising dollar and getting paid. If you don't believe me, one of our local stations every year seems to have an argument with one or another cable or satellite provider carrying their local programming where they want more money for it. They want to get more money from them, and then they tell you, well, you need to contact them because they're not going to pay us. And that's not exactly true. They would pay you what they were already paying you. You're just trying to renegotiate and up the deal a little bit for more money. And this local station, they carry national programming, which would be on, CBS, NBC, ABC, whatever. But they also have local, like the local news and stuff like that. So it's the local broadcasting that is trying to get the extra money from the cable company, satellite provider, whatever. So they are negotiating for more money. The other way they get their money is advertising dollars. And they do that through either advertisers paying them to run an ad. The national syndication, of course, there are national ads and they get a percentage of that. But they also get that off of website clicks. You go to their website, they have ads on their website. If they have 500 visitors, well, these advertisers are going to pay them to advertise on their site. If they have 5,000 visitors, you're going to get a higher rate, of money from your advertisers, and you're going to be able to demand a little bit more from your advertisers. So, what the news media does is they do report on actual events. They're not making up the fact that there's flooding in North Carolina. Okay? They are, however, sensationalizing it and making it seem, in a lot of instances, worse than it is, although it's a horrible thing. Or they're taking and they're putting their news crews in situations that are dangerous or hazardous, and yet it's not. And I'm going to give a few cases of this, both historically and happened in this storm. one case in point that happened during this storm is there was this guy. He's struggling against the wind, facing the wrong direction if you look at the way the grass and stuff is blowing. Then in the background, you see two guys, kind of, I'm not saying they're built. They're athletic, but they're the small athletic build, thin, like maybe soccer players or something. I don't know. But I'm just saying that kind of a build. Walking by, strolling by. One of them's even typing on his cell phone in the background. Okay, conditions are so bad that this guy is having a hard time standing up, and these other guys are just strolling by typing on their cell phones. Something ain't right. Then something that's been said that was with this storm but wasn't. It was with the storm down in Texas, which once again was a bad storm. There was a lot of flooding. There was a nationally known newscaster that there is a picture of him standing in what appears to be a ditch with his news crew standing up on high ground. And he says this was not during this hurricane, this was bad, this hurricane, it was bad, and he shows a few other examples of how bad it was. Yes, it was bad. But you also are saying, and he says this, that he was standing in a low spot while his crew was up on a high spot for the crew's safety. Yeah, okay, I get that. And to emphasize how bad it was. He said it. He's emphasizing how bad it is. In other words, what he did was pretty much to draw attention and get a little bit of a response, get more people to click on things with that news agency and get the advertising dollars. There is another incident, I don't even know what storm it is, where there's a female newscaster in a canoe, floating in a canoe. She's not floating away, she's just sitting there in the canoe. So that means the water's pretty still. Then walking between her and the camera come 2 or 3 people, ankle deep water. So she's sitting in a still puddle of water that may just be ankle deep and the canoe is grounding, but she's looking like she's in floodwaters. There have been other instances where there were news media showing something that people showed the same picture and it wasn't nearly as bad, or it wasn't what the news media was portraying. And there's one more thing that happened during this storm that just goes ahead and adds to that. And I'm going to end this video here shortly because it's getting long. But one of the local weather service news medias was asking people to report down trees and power lines to them. Not report them to your power company. Not report them to the to the police and fire department or anything. So they can send people out to move it out the roadway, or keep people safe from the power lines down or whatever. But report it to them. Why would they be asking for people to report to them? So they could send out a news crew and get video or pictures of the damage, quote unquote damage in my book, because we are in an area where we had very little problem. There was some rain, and yes, with rain and wind there's always a down tree or two, but we didn't have anything like North Carolina did. Why are you looking for local stuff that doesn't even exist and begging people to do that if you're not looking to sensationalize a story? Don't believe everything the news media tells you to believe. Don't believe everything they're doing. They are out there sensationalizing stories, and this is just an example of many different things that they sensationalize. They've even been, the local news reported something as fact that was even ongoing. The whole facts were not in. And 24 hours later, what they reported and what they said was found out to be totally false. They didn't retract anything in as big of an amount as they said, 3 posts on the same story within a few hours of each other. They printed a little small, they did one little small thing about the story that by then people are probably not going to click on because it looks like the same story. So news media sensationalizes, news media lies, maybe not an outright lie, but they add to the story. Don't believe everything they're telling you. Look around. Go find several news sources. There are news sources out there that don't have a dog in the hunt, as it were, as far as the advertising dollars, but they do have another agenda. So don't believe everything. Put it all together and come up with your own story. Come up with what you need to believe. Come up with what you know from several different sources. Thank you for watching. If you disagree, please feel free to comment. If you agree, feel free to comment. Either way, it's not changing my opinion on anything. I just wanted to get this out there.